On my end, well, I've been absolutely absorbed by what's been happening at the Sydney Swans. Of course, that 81-point drubbing in the grand final that's impossible to forget, particularly for Sydney Swans fans at the top of that list. But it's more what's happened in response to that, which I've found fascinating. You see one of the all-time great coaches of the modern era, John Longmire, step down and hand over in another one of these succession plans to Dean Cox. And it hasn't just been a routine handover. Dean Cox has been leaving no prisoners this off-season. We saw those consecutive 2K time trials. We've heard about a 7-hour review of that grand final, making sure that absolutely nothing will go unaccounted for. Allegedly, an hour spent on the first minute of that game. So really delving into exactly what happened mentally in that game. In 2025, we're going to see Captain Callum Mills return to the field. What that does to the midfield balance of that trio, Heaney, Gould and Warner, is yet to be seen. But it's nothing but a positive to have one of those leaders back on the field. Really, the question is, what is the mental toll? What do you think, Kate McCarthy?
I think they'll bounce back. I really do. I think there were signs later in the season from last year that they needed to fix up little parts of their game when things weren't going their way. And I think the 2 years prior to that, we saw a similar outcome grand final day. I've lost 2 grand finals. The first one, we didn't really watch again. We didn't go into any detail. We didn't pick it apart. It was just kind of like, we're back. We know that can fuel us for next year. We did the same thing in the grand final following year. We reviewed it went over it with a fine-tooth comb. And I think potentially that's what's happened here. They've realised that there's things that they need to take out of it. They know they were nowhere near their best on that day. They were the best team in the competition from sort of round 1 to 24 last year and just couldn't put it together on the biggest stage of all. But I think they come back. The repeat 2Ks, I would never do that. I would just simply quit. That would be my retirement. I'm not doing a second 2K. It's hard enough to do one, but Coxie's come in and he's really just, I think, upholding a whole lot of standards at that club. Not to say that John Longmire didn't, but it's a new wave.